Hello, good morning. Today we have Dr. Anshul Abhijit with us. He's the national spokesperson of the Indian National Congress. Dr. Anshul, welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
Dr. Anshul, today we've gathered here for the National Legislators Conference Bharat to sort of chalk out a way and a pathway ahead to the conference. So I want to sort of kick off this conversation very candidly by asking you, what is the need for a platform like NLC Bharat and what kind of a hole in the wall does it hope to plug in Indian democracy?
Yeah, well, I think this is quite unprecedented. The basic hallmark of any democracy, the soul of any democracy is discussion, it's debate, it's dialogue. And imagine a platform where from, all the myriad states of India, legislators are coming in, about 1,000 of them, and are able to talk to each other, just simply converse, share their experiences. I think it's something remarkable. I don't think it's ever happened before. Because in Indian democracy, I think it's democracy. The essence of democracy is change with consensus, and consensus can only come about if you talk to each other. Somebody from Northeast and coming and talking to a person from Kerala, or somebody from Kashmir talking to someone from Tamil Nadu, exchanging experiences, emotions, feelings, food, habits. It's not just talking about democracy; it's about a whole range of emotions coming through.
Sure. So a platform like NLC Bharat going ahead, how do you see what kind of targets do you see it achieving in terms of experiential learnings for legislators from different states? What kind of objectives or what kind of goals can we hope to achieve via this platform?
Yeah, so let's not call it targets because you become a prisoner of words then. Let's not say we're going to get this out of it. Just that the fact that people are coming together and talking is a huge achievement in itself. I'm talking to you right now. It's wonderful, right? We're exchanging ideas. For anything to conclude in that disciplinarian kind of way, in a school book, school textbook kind of way, is not something that I really think about. I would think about exchange of ideas, feelings, emotions, democracy, talking about their own problems. What are the encounters with democracy? How is it different from the way we experience democracy in UP, in Bihar, in Tamil Nadu, in Mizoram, in Nagaland, in Maharashtra? What are the various experiences coming through? I think that is a kind of takeaway in itself.
So, this was a point that we were sort of discussing earlier in the day as well, that there is inherently and sort of inbuilt in legislators, there's a sort of apprehension in learning from our counterparts across the aisle. That sort of remains innate in legislators because they're divided by party lines. And now when we do have a platform which is non-partisan in nature, will there be that hesitancy in learning from someone who's across the aisle, from your counterpart from a different state? Will that hesitancy still exist? Or because since there is no competition here, will the learning be much more free flowing?
That's a good question. There is the tyranny of the party. And now the way party works, the individual legislature is not bigger than the party. So the party exercises full and absolute control. I think that's one of the problems, where legislatures are not allowed to speak or express themselves. So I don't think that the change will come about almost immediately. But the fact that they're just talking about their difficulties, exchanging ideas, what MIT will do with this is actually build a huge archive of experiences which academics can benefit from. I think that's wonderful. That's a marvelous thing that's going to happen.
The documentation part will obviously play a very important role in nation building going ahead because we will have a template to sort of fall back upon and learn from looking at that.
Absolutely.
But the fact that we need a platform like NLC Bharat also shows us that there are certain challenges that we have in our democracy as of today. According to you, what are these challenges in our democracy?
Yeah, again, excellent question. Every democracy has challenges, throughout its period. We can never take democracy for granted. Sometimes it's fragile and there is a need to protect it, preserve it, and strengthen it. Indian democracy is not Indian alone. You can't provincialize Indian democracy. I think that it belongs to the world because, if you say that every fifth Indian, every fifth person in the world is an Indian, then the achievements of India in terms of liberal democracy are the world's achievements. It's humanity, right? People admire it, they recognize it, it becomes inspirational. Many countries, when we got independence, many countries around the world got independence, but they quickly descended into dictatorship, into military rule, into, all forms of government which are illiberal, right? We preserved it, and that is our strength, and people admire it. So it belongs to the world. it is important that it is protected and we recognize its challenges going forward.
Sure. So, just to round off, Dr. Anshul, and jumping back to what you just said, we are the world's largest democracy. Bharat has been the world's largest democracy, and it is a sort of title or a stamp that can have a negative connotation and can have a positive connotation. But what it does, and what is undisputed in this, is that it puts more responsibility on us as the electorate to hold ourselves to a higher standard. Do you think that that standard can be increased with a platform like NLC Bharat? Will NLC Bharat go ahead and help us to sort of hold ourselves to a higher standard of operations in terms of democracy?
Yeah, I think, the meaning of democracy would be in what true manner are the people's wishes being reflected? I think there's a certain problem with Indian democracy, which I encounter, is that it's just now being reduced to elections alone, right? So we are just speeding from one election to another. So the processes that come in between elections, that is making laws, the responsibility of legislators, how they are accountable to the legislator, what are the individual sort of achievements, responsibilities, that all gets neglected because the press also has a role in this. Press only loves and is attracted by elections. They don't care what laws are being made. That's not going to make headlines. So the press is also responsible for this, and it's just being reduced to elections alone. I don't think that's a good trend. Democracy is holistic. It comprises of elections, which are very important, adult franchise, but also of institutions, of mechanisms of lawmaking, because unless you make far-reaching liberal laws, there'll be no progress, right? So everything is important. And I think a conference like this will, I hope, hopefully bring out a composite nature of Indian democracy.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Dr. Anshul, for joining us on this podcast. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.